Hello and welcome to Hear These Words, a podcast and video series from Good Shepherd Episcopal Church in DeQuesta, Florida. I'm Sanford Groff.
And I'm Jim Cook.
And every week on the podcast, we take a look at the readings assigned to us for the upcoming Sunday by the Revised Common Lectionary. We're looking at Proper 16a, track 1, and the words we hear are Matthew 16, 13 through 20, Exodus, the first chapter of Exodus, 8 through the second chapter of verse 10, Psalm 124, and Romans 12, 1 through 8. Father Cook, good morning.
Here we are again.
We're back in the church now.
That's right. That's good.
Always
the roof
interesting.
Is looking good. It looks
the
good
roof
outside.
is great.
The paint looks good.
Paint is, they're painting this side. You can't see the windows, but
Yeah.
they're all taped up. And it should be done soon.
Yeah, congratulations.
Week
and they're
or
going to
two.
start working on the parking lots, is that right?
Parking lots are in October.
Okay.
We kind of early October when the school's out for a couple days, so we're shooting for that date to get them restriped. And
I noticed on Sunday morning the new air conditioning unit back
Yes.
here, right? I could
Blowing,
feel it blowing
blows.
on me. It felt great. I don't know if the congregation thought it felt great, but I did. So thank you.
the breath of the Spirit on your neck.
It was.
Cold air.
It was pretty cold. It was. You could
It's
tell.
cold. It's new. Yeah, it's a
yeah.
new. It'll do well, but it'll. We have 3 air conditioners in here, and it's good to just not run one of them all the time. So it'll be good.
That's good.
We continue our journey kind of through ordinary time here. Matthew 16, if we can just jump right in. This is Peter's confession. It is when Jesus kind of comes up and says, who do people say that I am? And they kind of have all these different options. And Peter says, well, you're the Messiah, the Son of the living God. And Jesus says, blessed are you, that my Father in heaven has revealed this, and on you I will build my church. You're my rock, right?
Yeah. The Greek word for Peter, Kephas, right,
Kephas,
is
okay.
also translated as rock.
Right.
So there's some I don't know, kind of helpful Greek.
Yeah, good. And the Roman Catholics see Peter as the Pope.
So that's
right?
where the keys keys come
and
from, right?
And the apostolic succession, which is this idea that Peter then, in his ministry, goes and anoints or ordains the next leaders of the church, and that throughout the generations, there has been an unbroken line of leaders ordaining leaders.
Yes.
So
of which we would even claim as Anglicans.
Yes,
our orders go all the way back
Right.
to Peter. The Romans would say we broke it, or
Right.
the Eastern Church would say the Western Church broke it, and that the Eastern Church is the real church that goes back to Peter.
Yeah, and vice versa.
So it's filled with intrigue.
And then I will give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven, and whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. Keys. Thoughts about the keys of the kingdom?
The door has to be unlocked, and you have to unlock it if you want the Spirit to flow within you.
Right.
It could be, you can take keys, I think, and look at it all different way in how we use the word key.
Yeah.
I have to go back to
I mean,
the Greek.
I think Luther said a lot about the keys.
Did he?
I think he did, but I tend to think that rather than looking at that particular line as authoritative, as though we have some sort of, like me as a priest has some sort of authority in heaven to bind and loose things. I don't really see it that way. I see it as a way of organizing the church, the body of Christ on earth, and that comes with responsibility. Comes with identifying how we can organize ourselves, how we can unite and be bound together, how we can be kind of set free in those moments as well, and how that will translate to building God's kingdom here on earth.
Yeah, I think that's
a little more probably my.
Yeah, I mean, ecclesia, the word that translates into church, it's a separate. Remember, there was Judaism, right, and then there was Gentiles. So he's also saying that there's going to be a separate body, that's going to kind of be formed as you follow me and you build that sort of community of followers, right? And the keys are both I mean, you can kind of say that both the keys that God sort of uses to open you up,
Right.
or to create that body, or what you need to sort of open up your own heart if you go into the individual and the communities around it. You know,
Right.
so it's also not used a lot. It's only in Matthew that's referred to here. It doesn't go into all the other Gospels.
Right.
The other Gospels kind of leave it with more about who do you say that I am.
The confession
kind of, the
part.
confession part.
Right.
Is kind of where they kind of leave it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting. Matthew, you wonder what goes back in his telling of the gospel, of the life of Christ. I think, that gets more complicated
It does.
and scholarly than what I'm interested in doing for you this morning. So
Sorry.
you can all dig around in that more, look in your commentaries.
Do you think, again, the scriptures, as we've mentioned previously, the scriptures don't give us a lot of interiority or motivation on the part of the characters. And in this one, Jesus is asking his disciples, who do people say that the Son of Man is, right? And they say, some say John the Baptist, others Elijah, still others Jeremiah or one of the prophets. And then he says, but who do you say that I am? I mean, do you think, I guess there are two different ways we could look at Jesus' motivation and interiority here, which kind of ties into my sermon last week. Is this Jesus asking a genuine question about how his ministry is resonating with people and how his ministry is resonating with his disciples, which they've given the disciples have given plenty of evidence to Jesus that it's worthy of questioning.
Yes.
If it's resonating,
Right.
Send them away, let them get something to eat somewhere else, and send this woman away.
I'll tell you about this later. Explain that parable to me,
I mean,
please.
we have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
So, Jesus asking them, I think, could be an authentic question and curiosity that Jesus has. We've been doing this for X amount of time, and what's going on
with you
guys?
Yeah,
and what's the scuttlebutt, right?
Yeah.
I could also see some interpreters running this is kind of a way of testing their faith. It's a way of kind of making them commit at some level. Jesus might not be all that curious, but is going to ask the question anyway. He's kind of calling the question for them. I could kind of see it either way.
I think again, our interpretation is to make it very like almost this orthodox answer.
Right.
You better say the Christ, or you're not in the kingdom. You're not in the ecclesia. The following sort of.
Right.
And I think we find that easier to interpret it in that context. Who do you say? If you don't say the Christ, if I don't say that you're my Lord and Savior,
right,
I'm not going to be part of this kingdom.
Right.
And I think we throw that onto them. I kind of think it's like, it's a pretty natural question to ask. If you're the leader, you've asked these folks to follow you, and they're all following you around. Like, what's going on with you guys?
Right.
I think that's kind of I can understand that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
From coming from Jesus, I kind of want to know, what do you think what do you think's going on here?
Right.
Who do you think I am? It seems pretty literal.
I have a non-biblical way of maybe imagining this text. Matthew here has condensed this interaction into four or five sentences. I wonder if over time the disciples were talking about, we're kind of hearing things from other places and wondering, maybe he is John the Baptist, or maybe, kind of back, or maybe he's Elijah. Like, I could see the disciples having their own journey to identifying Jesus, even as they saw him and followed him and kind of who he was.
Right.
And so Matthew gives voice to that, but does it in one conversation instead of over a period of time. Now, there's no evidence in the text to support this kind of more creative or imaginative reading. But I imagine the disciples wrestled with who was Jesus, even as they followed him, literally in the flesh.
Right. Right.
And I'm sure they heard rumors, and that's so his question, who do you say that I am? Eventually they get kind of put on the spot. And at that moment, Peter answers and for doing so kind of is I don't want to say rewarded, but acknowledged for that
Or given this responsibility.
Even though Peter's character is to always kind of be
And he doesn't
jumping
really
into
live
stuff.
into that very well. If you
No.
go further into the Gospels, Jesus denies the guy. I mean, Peter denies him 3 times, and
Yes.
Peter hides, and Peter's
Yes.
not exactly what
No.
you would call a born leader.
no.
And so it's kind of interesting that he's the first one to say, "Oh, I really believe you are you are the Christ, you're the
Right.
Messiah, you are the Son of the living God." And oh, that's great. But he also denies that, and I think Peter also then becomes an icon for all of us because we're a little bit the same way. Oh, I'm really behind you, Jesus, when things are going well in my life, and you've answered my prayer or whatever, or I feel good on a Sunday morning because I love that hymn I'm singing, and oh, Jesus is all here.
Right.
Until Monday morning when you wake
Right.
up and you're like,
Yeah.
not so much.
Right.
I think Peter then becomes someone that we can relate to, and also how Jesus never gives up on Peter or on us.
Yep.
So we are all kind of a mixed bag.
Yes,
And I think
very much.
the truth in that is probably more important than anything.
Yes.
Being honest.
Than passing the litmus test.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah,
Yep.
I do.
Good. Can we turn to the Old Testament then?
Sure.
Having taken a couple different avenues with the gospel. Exodus 1:8. This is the beginning of, this is the birth of Moses, right? And it picks us up where we left off with Joseph in Egypt, and it lets us know that there's now a new Pharaoh over Egypt who did not know Joseph, right? And he sees the Israelite people who have migrated there and sees that they are numerous and powerful, and so he basically enslaves them and has them build his great cities and pyramids and all of that kind of stuff. Then so the king has this household, and within the household, there's the Hebrew woman gives birth, and to avoid having the child killed, sends him out in the basket on the Nile, and sends him out, and then he gets picked up and taken care of by Pharaoh's house.
Own household.
Midwives, yeah.
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 What I think in some ways it's the genesis of the entire story of the Hebrew people, right? Their liberation from slavery in Egypt, which is still kind of almost the defining identity of the faith,
Right.
within Judaism, right? And in the midst of these terrible moments, years that go by, where this Pharaoh doesn't even know who Joseph is, even though Joseph had basically saved Egypt with what he did. It's ironic, and then the Pharaoh, of course, goes after the immigrant, the ones who don't belong, and makes them sort of out to be the bad guys in all of this. And then in the midst of all that, says, I'm going after you, but then this Hebrew couple conceives a son, so life goes on, love continues, right, in the midst of all of this. And I think already from the very beginning, we're seeing woven into the story of the Hebrew liberation, God at work in the most one-on-one, simple, smallest ways that draw no attention to the Pharaoh, to the one who's in power, and doesn't stop what's going on, but already God's hand, God's love is like a ribbon kind of flowing through all of this really bad stuff that's happening. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's pretty remarkable that it's out of Pharaoh's own family that they go find Moses in this basket.
The daughter, yeah.
The daughter, right? I
Right.
mean, come on. It's
Right.
right under Pharaoh's nose.
Yes.
You know, God is still
Operating.
And I think that's
Yeah.
I think that's helpful.
Well, and that there's, I think you could kind of parallel this a little bit with Joseph.
Yeah.
In a different way. He rose in the ranks from prison to Pharaoh's right-hand man
Yep.
through his service to Pharaoh, and ended up, kind of working at that level of power within that country. This is kind of flipped on its head, but it still focuses on that level of power and how the compassion of the daughter who sees the basket in the reeds, and is moved with compassion for this baby.
Right. Right.
That becomes the way that God kind of worms his way into the position of power's heart, even when, fast forward, that heart will end up being hardened. Pharaoh's heart will end up being quite hard, but within his household, there are these soft places where God
is able to
be present.
To be present.
Right.
It's just pretty. It's pretty hopeful.
Especially when we feel hard, or we're feeling hopeless, or we're noticing within our community, our country, our world, places of incredible hardness, places of oppression, injustice, that God is still, even at those levels of power, God is still present.
I agree, and I think, I was kind of looking in here, like the Pharaoh commands all of his people, every boy that is born to the Hebrews you shall throw into the Nile, but you shall let every girl live. So he makes this edict, like, you better not have a boy.
Right.
Like, so if you were a young couple, you'd probably think, this probably isn't the best time.
Right, to conceive.
Uh-huh. And so you probably do everything you could not to. But then there's this, unnamed man from the house of Levi goes and marries a Levite woman, which is Jewish, right? And the woman conceives and bears a son. And they find they have this fine baby, and they hid him for 3 months. I mean, it's the desire to continue to express life exists even in the midst of sort of death and fear. And I think that's such a great reminder, because most of us don't have control on anything that's really going on around us in the world, right? I mean, yes, we can go vote, or we can, but that feels sort of impotent in today's world.
Right.
And so we can either complain about it and get negative and nasty with each other, or we can continue to believe and have hope that love wins.
Right. Right. Well, right.
Always comes out. But I mean, I think it's true. And I don't think these stories would matter if that isn't part of what the message is.
Yeah. Well, and I think our job as the church is to support that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's to identify those places within the world that do have, very small sprouts of life and love, and kind of attend and nurture those places, even as the kind of the wars rage around us, so to speak. Kind of literally and figuratively.
Right.
All right, we're going to keep moving.
Keep on going.
Psalm 124, we'll take a look at that in church. And then Romans 12, I feel like I just skipped the psalm. We don't have time, I'm sorry. 12, 1 through 8.
Let me just say one thing about a psalm. A psalm, remember, is a song, right? So psalms are sung. We sing them in church when the choir's here, right? Which is really what a psalm is. They're meant to be sung. And they're like hymns. So you and I could sit down and we could do this with, what are the hymns going to be for this weekend?
Yeah.
And we could take a look at the language of the hymn. I mean, I know a lot of people don't really like to sing, and they the hymns you could do with them or without, or they want some easy melody that they can, remember in the car on the way home. But I always encourage people to, don't close your hymnal.
Right.
At least read the words that are being spoken or sung in that hymn. They're pretty, The hymns
powerful.
in this hymnal are pretty powerful.
Yeah.
You know, beautiful, poetic.
Even just from a lyric standpoint.
Just like, yeah,
Right.
don't give up on them. It's just the way we just kind of like go past the psalm. We're not going to talk about that. We'd probably be smart sometime to spend more time looking at the psalm.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's all I'm saying. I'm not suggesting that we're going to start doing that we're going to start opening up our hymnals.
Right. But we could.
Don't overlook it, because every single thing that gets said on a Sunday morning in our common worship together, whether it's at 8 or 10, almost every word has purpose
Yes.
and meaning in that
Yes.
time.
Right. It's not just random.
No, it's not.
Except for maybe the announcements.
Maybe that's true.
They're random sometimes.
But they're important too, you know? I mean,
Good. Romans 12, 1 through 8. I'm fairly familiar to me, but I appeal to you to present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, which is your spiritual worship. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your minds, so that you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect. And then the second section, for as in one body we have many members, and not all members have the same function, we who are many are one body in Christ, and individually members one of another, which should sound, familiar, I think, to most of us.
yeah. And it kind of builds, it builds a little bit on the gospel reading,
Yeah,
right? The building of the kingdom, the keys of the kingdom, and the building of a church or a fellowship. Yeah, and I mean, it's the reminder that every single person who is part of this body has a purpose and a function. And again, I think it's kind of like, if you take, again, analogous to the body itself, the physical body, you think about the smallest parts of our bodies we don't think about or even know what really work, you know, like the thyroid. Right. There's a lot of thyroid cancer, it seems like right now. But that little tiny thing we never talk about that really keeps us alive in many ways.
Yes.
You know, and I think that's...
And I think you and I are uniquely privileged as priests to see the body at work, to see the church at work, and how varied those gifts and those skills are that people exercise all the time to keep this place going. I mean, not just, it's great even just around the vestry table. We had the vestry retreat on Saturday, and there are some really heavy hitters when it comes to finance and financial acumen in terms of understanding just stuff I would never even know about. And they're having a full-on, conversation about depreciation and all this stuff. But then to turn and to, for a closing prayer for someone to volunteer, and it's just a brilliant prayer that the person had offered to the vestry, and that, and how great that is to have around that table of 12 people, all these different gifts. We've got someone who's able to look over the physical campus and know about roofs and air conditioners and painting and all that goes into that. So Paul, I think, kind of lifts that up for us, and it's easy. I think it's easy for us when we're just coming on Sunday to feel like, okay, we're just here to hear, a sermon and maybe hear some music or whatever. But behind the scenes, there's just a lot. There's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on, and
and by a lot of people who have a lot of different gifts. And I think it's tempting in a moment of frustration to go, why doesn't this person have this other gift? Why isn't the finance person able to offer that level of depth of prayer? Or why can't the outreach person, even with the worship, why isn't this person able to sing the hymn the way that the choir can?
Right.
Well, I mean, I guess that's a fair question, but I would caution against conflating the closeness with which any particular person is with God with any particular gift set.
Yeah.
The person who can shine in Bible study is not necessarily closer to God.
No.
Or the priest is not necessarily closer to God. So, It's the variety of gifts, one body with many members, and I think Paul's kind of the champion of that in multiple places, not just Romans.
That's right. No, I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're communities of faith, so the church isn't here for. We're here. Yes, it is here for me.
Right.
But not me alone.
No. Right.
And sometimes, like, okay, use the example of on a Sunday morning, a baby is crying. And it can be annoying during the middle of the sermon. Even when we love to have children in there and all that, you're like, it can be, at some point after a few minutes, you're kind of thinking maybe that parent should take that baby out of here.
Right.
Right?
Right.
But maybe for somebody sitting in that church, hearing that baby's cry is like the greatest gift of the week, because they don't hear a baby cry anymore. They don't have any more babies in their lives. They've lost a baby. Who knows? But hearing that baby is like the choir of angels,
Right. Right.
And so each one of us has kind of then we're reminded we have a responsibility to the other person next to me to be part of this community.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And I will go even so far as to say attending church. Coming to church on a Sunday morning and sitting in that pew when you want to do 1,000 other things may not really be that important to you, but that may be the most important thing you do for that person next to you,
Right.
is to be there physically and present as though they matter. You know what I mean? And I think we all tend to look at the church as there to serve me.
Right.
To make me feel better, do something for me. I want to hear a great sermon. If I don't hear a great sermon, why did I come to church today?
Right.
That's okay. I mean, I get that, but we're part of a community, the body, and we need each other.
Right.
And sometimes I just need you physically.
Yes.
I just
Right.
need you to be here. And so, yeah.
And I think each person within a church, within a parish, again, within their gifts, should be participating, right? Exercising that gift in some way. And Paul, teaching and exhorting and ministering and generosity and a leader and compassion and cheerfulness. I mean, there's so many ways of doing that. Just being there, like you said, and not with a cheerful disposition could make someone's day who's grieving on a Sunday morning and who simply needs to hear a baby or see your smile or say hi at coffee hour, or you make a cup of coffee for them, or whatever.
Right.
But I'm kind of one of the mind that every person should be participating. This is not a spectator sport.
No.
And so, come and join in the fun, kind of experience a little bit of the friction of community, because it's so
where
it's
are you
so
not going to
rich.
have some friction? I mean,
Yeah.
come on.
You have
That's
friction everywhere.
imposing something on a community that's not
Right.
truthful. It's not fair. I
Right.
mean, guarantee it. Everybody's got friction in their families. Everybody's got friction with their neighbors. Everybody's got friction with somebody at work.
Even just going to the grocery store,
Just
you're
go to
gonna
the
have
grocery
some
store, the person in
friction.
front of you
Right.
driving, just going
Yeah.
through the stop signs.
Right.
Like today I
Right.
saw this. And so all of a sudden we come into the church thinking like, oh,
Yeah, this is
everyone
supposed
here
to be.
should be love, and
Yeah.
everyone I'm going to like, and they better like me, and
Right.
they better do it this way. If they don't do it that way, I'm leaving. I mean, that's
Right.
just not realistic. It's not really fair to impose that.
Right.
But then you and I are talking as like clergy and rectors of a place, and but it does. It's kind of can sometimes be almost hurtful how weak we are when it comes to our tolerance within the body of Christ. That we're looking for something that's unfair.
Right.
Look at the disciples. I mean, they're
Yeah.
fighting with each other all the time. They got
Yep.
Judas in there, and they're like
Yep.
denying Christ, and they're supporting Christ, and then they're helping people, and they're sending them away. And come on, be realistic,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And the depth of what the experience is, and the spirit. We're just trying to create a space where you can actually feed your soul.
Yeah.
Like that. Warts and all, yeah.
Yep.
It might be kind of a pain, in different ways. I mean, we are not a consumer product, but we're a unique product in that this is one place in the world where the whole goal is soul development.
Yeah. Yeah.
And drawing and building that relationship with God and with one another in what we hope is the best way possible.
Right.
And we're not going to charge you anything for that. There's no price of admission.
No.
But we do think you should participate.
Thank you, Father Graf.
I do think you should.
I do too. If you want to really appreciate the reward that comes with that,
Right. And thankfully, we're at a place where people do. I mean, that's the
of
good. I
course.
mean, I'm not
not
a critique. I'm speaking more in abstraction,
Yeah.
but from Good Shepherd, because Good Shepherd's got just incredible lay leadership
Yeah.
and participation across the bank. So we're grateful. I'm grateful as the rector for that.
Should be.
Okay, great. We're over.
All right.
Sorry. If you made it this long, thanks for joining us, and we hope you join us in church, in person, or online, however you are able to join us this week. And now we hope you feel a little more prepared to hear these words. We'll see you soon.
Take care.